Do contracts mean anything anymore when you're buying or selling a home? If you're a seller, is the contracted price actually what you're going to end up with at the settlement table? In this video, we're talking about real life scenarios that have recently happened where buyers haven't exactly been on their best behavior and the remorse that they're feeling and the effects that it's caused on everybody involved. All right, so I want to talk about a recent listing that was sold and is now back on the market. So as I had said in prior videos, now the market has really changed. And what's happening is the first couple days are very critical when selling a home. So the home hits the market. Maybe there was some coming soon activity, where in this case, we're allowed to market a existing home up to 21 days in a coming soon status. So what the agent's trying to do at this point is really kind of build up the anticipation of the home hitting the market. Within the first 3 or 4 days, we really see most of the buyers come through. If you're having an open house, maybe you're having all of that activity on the first 1 or 2 days of the open house. And then really, you're hoping that you're getting at least one offer or multiple offers. Well, in this situation, we had a buyer that was really excited about the house. They came back 2 times to view the house. It was originally discussed that they had a house to sell and that the seller would probably need to allow for a home sale contingency in order to make things work. The agent, being very excited, said, "We're submitting an offer on the house, and the buyers no longer need to sell their existing home that, hey, great news, they were qualified by the bank. They can actually own 2. So when the offer came in, it was very strong, over asking price, and we negotiated an appraisal gap contingency because in our opinion, we did not think that the home would appraise for their offer price. It came in very clean, very few contingencies, but some of the contingencies included an as-is inspection with the right to terminate, and in this case, the home was in great shape, and the sellers were not concerned at all as the maintenance had really been kept up with this home. Another contingency that we see often was because of this home being in a homeowners association, the buyer has the opportunity to review homeowner documents and then determine if they want to cancel the contract upon their review. Now, this may come into effect if, let's just say, they want to build a fence in the backyard and the HOA is determined that they're not allowed to do so. They could say, you know what, I bought the house because I needed a fence in the backyard, and reading through the documents, I can't have one, so they can cancel. This is very unusual because typically the buyers will ask all the questions up front. And of course, the sellers know most of the answers from living within that homeowners association for many years. Another contingency, which is like a catch-all, is that they had a financing contingency. So between now and really settlement date, should something occur that changes their financing or makes the lender unwilling to lend them the money, they could simply back out of the contract. So here the house is under contract, taken off the active market. Everyone else is notified. The home is in pending status. 3 days later, 1 day before the home inspection, the buyer's agent calls and informs that the buyer was canceling the contract. To our surprise, we said, wait a minute. Why? We haven't even had a home inspection. And the agent said, well, there were some new comparables that had gone on the market in the neighborhood where the buyers were living, and that was considerably less of an offering than what the buyers would consider selling their existing home. We said, wait a minute. That has nothing to do with it. There is no home sale contingency. You said that the bank said they could own both houses. The agent quickly responded saying, look, they're canceling the contract, and if we're not going to let them out at this point, well, there's the home inspection that they could simply walk away from. Well, there's the HOA docs that they could review and have problems with. And simply what they were saying was, tough, we're canceling the contract. The agent sent over the termination clause, which in the state of Maryland only has to be unilateral, meaning that the buyer can just automatically cancel it without the seller's signature. The issue here was that the contingency, the reason why they were claiming they were backing out of the offer or canceling the contract, was left blank. So when we went back to the buyer's agent, we said, wait a minute, you can't leave this blank. You have to fill it out. Why are they canceling? And the agent simply filled out that it was because of financing. Now, we're 3 days after contract acceptance with a pre-approval letter from a lender, and they basically said, you know what, these people can afford to buy this house without selling their house. So guys, in my opinion, we're simply another case of buyer's remorse where they just kind of overstepped. They felt bad for doing so and they backed out. Now, if you're a seller, what are your options? I'm not an attorney and I'm not providing legal advice, but the situation in this case just seems to make more sense than rather than pursue any type of legal action that the seller simply put the house back on the market. And obviously, we need to answer the questions on why did this house go under contract and why is it now back to active? And from my previous videos, one of the things that I tell you, if you're a seller, that's like the worst case scenario. Because in the real estate business, we always say your first contract is usually your best. Okay, now I want to tell you of another scenario. So a buyer had contracted to purchase a home, and actually we went through all of the contingency periods. There was a home inspection. And in this case, the buyer came back with a whole laundry list of things that they wanted repaired. The seller said, hey, no problem. They negotiated what would be fixed, and that was taken care of. We also had a situation where it was oversold. The appraisal came in undervalued, and the seller said, you know what? I am willing to reduce the purchase price of the home to the new appraised value. Moving right along, repairs were done, appraisal came in, adjustments were made, and then the buyer's agent called up and said, hey, we have another situation. They knew that we were all out of contingencies and scheduled to close, but now all of a sudden the buyer had spoken with somebody that they knew, and they had talked about the age of the heating and air system, and now servicing it like originally requested was not enough, and they wanted the seller to replace the heating and air system in the home. Now, guys, if you're a seller, what are you going to do? So the options are that this buyer could be backing out of the contract despite going through every single contingency, negotiating upon negotiating and agreeing to reduce the price as well as fix and repair issues from the inspection report. And now the seller's looking at if this buyer walks now 30 days almost into the contract, we'll be back on the market and ready to do this all over again. So what did the seller do? The seller agreed to credit back the buyer cash at closing, obviously to be on the settlement sheet, to put towards a brand new heating and air system, or really whatever they decided to do with the money. So what I'm saying here in this video, guys, is that buyers are now commanding the show. Despite contracts, despite what they agreed to, in many situations, we're watching the terms change. It's fluid all the way until the closing table. Certainly a different scenario from just 6 months ago where any changes in the contract, the seller would have backups and would have kicked that buyer to the curb. These are very interesting times, and if you're looking to sell your home, what I'm telling you is expect the unexpected. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, you can let me know that you did by hitting that thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, do so now. Hit the alert bell to let you know every time we upload content just like this. See you next time. Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.